This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning and welcome to the Sunrise Safari. My name is Jamie and this morning Sebastian is on camera with me. Once again, neither of us quite sure how that happened because we could swear that he was meant to be on camera with Brent, but that's okay because I quite like Seb. So,
I like you too.
Thanks, Seb. So this morning, usually we start with a beautiful view of, well, clouds or something, you know, whatever we happen to find. But you'll notice that this morning I am moving around. That is because when I got up this morning at around about 3:45, I heard lions fighting over something very close to my bedroom window. And I'm trying to figure out where they've gone from there. Now, this is a live safari, which means that you can send through your questions on #SafariLive on Twitter. Alternatively, in the comments section of YouTube, we are live from Djuma Private Game Reserve, which is in the Greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa. We will also be joined by the team in the Masai Mara. There, done. Okay, now we focus on the lions. We had a few problems with gremlins yesterday, and unfortunately those problems persist today. That means I'm quite limited with where I can go, which is why I was so excited when I heard the lions scrapping outside my bedroom window. And there was definitely roaring and all sorts. Now, I don't know where they've gone now. It poured with rain at about 2 o'clock this morning, so tracks are going to be difficult. So there's so much happening. Where to begin? I need to get behind Voyatella Dam. I think that's what I need to do. Oh, the clouds are beautiful this morning. We can't stop and look though. We can look later. Someone else can show you the clouds. I'm meant to be going to the hyena den. I really am. I've got so much to do there. But I simply cannot resist the sounds of lions going grrr. Yesterday on the Sunset Safari, for those of you that missed it, we had... What did we have? We had the Nkuhumas. What is that over there? Is that a tree? You see what I see? This tree, hey? Not wild dogs. That's a wild dog stump. Well, it was hopeful. You know, stranger things have happened when I've been limited to quarantine clearings. Oh, that's pretty. Okay, that is pretty. That's lovely. That's the last of the cold front being swept away, I imagine. You'll see, of course, that we have a roof on. It was also an interesting experience getting that on in a hurry this morning. Where should I go? Right, Voyatella Mast is over there, so if I go to Galago, should be fine, right? Shouldn't be a problem. In theory, it should be fine. I simply cannot stay restricted to where I am right now. I'll go mad. Unless the dogs come running through the clearing, in which case all bets are off. They've gone so quiet. Why have they gone so quiet? All right, I'm going to do a quick race across behind the dam. I am joined this morning by Jackie. She would love to say good morning.
Good morning and welcome to Safari Live. My name is Jackie and joining me behind camera is the wonderful James. So I am just going to position myself here as we have just come to the hyena den, and I don't want to be making too much noise as we come through so I can introduce myself properly. So here we are. As you can see, there's nothing really much happening at the moment. It's still quite early in the morning. We had quite a lot of rain during the night, and it might still be safely tucked in there. So just to let you know, we are coming to you live from Djuma in the Sabi Sands Game Reserve on the western fringes of the Kruger National Park in South Africa. And if you wish to send through your comments and your questions, you're welcome to on #SafariLive. So we're here at the den now. This is Jamie's favorite place. I'm just going to slowly move through so that we have got a better vision of it. And actually many of our favorite places. Okay. Yes, James is indeed, what do they say? Master of all. Okay. Are we right, James? Man of many talents and master of all. So here we are looking at the den now. There's really not much activity around. And as I was saying, we'd had quite a lot of rain fall down last night. So if you look around here, everything has really, really changed. It's quite chilly, it's quite cold, we're very early in the morning. So I'm quite certain that the cubs are very safely tucked warmly inside this den. I know Jamie did see Corky yesterday. So haven't had much activity. There's been a whole lot of other activity with lions and yeah. But today we are going to be taking a nice relaxed safari through the park. Look at those clouds. So it looks like there's actually going to be some more rain coming through. And we're not the only place with rain. The Mara, who are joining us also live from Kenya, are also experiencing heavy rains that side. So just listening around for the birds, which birds are calling and what's happening in the area. It's just a beautiful Monday morning in Africa. Yes, there are some frogs in the background going quack, 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 quack. And this is a really good sign, as frogs are a very good indicator of a healthy environment. And of course, with all the rains, there's lots of little puddles everywhere in the reserve that they can actually go and swim in as well. Not sure, James, which way am I going to go? I'm going... Okay, so while I'm trying to figure my way out of here, let's go to Jamie searching for lions.
I don't know where they are, but I'm determined. I know I heard them, and I know they're somewhere here, and I can't really rely on tracks. This is where we were with the Nkuhumas yesterday. They, of course, finished off a zebra kill yesterday morning, so they were quite rotund. I wonder. The problem is if it was male lions fighting, I don't know which males it would have been. Maybe perhaps the evokers discovered the Mangeni males. I don't know. It's a complete mystery. But the problem is, if it's male lions fighting, they run. As we've seen in the Mara, where of course we can keep up with them a little bit better, they have a tendency to cover enormous amounts of ground if they're fighting, with the one running and the other chasing. Come on, there must be one footprint in wet soil that I can use to figure this out. This morning I woke up and I said to Brent, yes, especially after how large they were. This morning I woke up and said to Brent, it rained last night. And he said, no, Jamie, that's lions fighting. No, it rained and there's lions fighting. Those are two very different sounds. I don't know what he thought I thought that was. Thunder or something. I mean, it was loud, but those are not two sounds that are easy to mix up. Aegis, there's a very good chance that the lions have moved off already. I'm as unfortunate as it is for Jackie, because I'm sure she wanted to see the hyenas. I am a little bit relieved that I haven't missed my chance with them this morning while I'm chasing ghost lions that have already raced off and are in Buffelshoek. It's entirely possible. I'm going off the sounds I heard. It didn't sound like a scrap over food, because it went from a fight into a roar. You know how lions do that when there's a sort of a brrr and then they all start roaring? It was that. And it's such a pity that the dam cam, the rains have just thrown everything out. But the dam cam wasn't working because then you could have heard it too. And then I wouldn't feel like such a loner because Seb hasn't heard it either. Seb, was that your foot or a lion?
No, my foot.
That was your foot, right. Got lions on the brain. One track, come on, one track. That will make me feel slightly less silly. Gowrie cutline. Oof, Gowrie cutline and Voyatella signal. Shaky. But then Brent had signal on Torchwood. So yes, we were all quite simply astounded by that. Basically, we have two repeaters on Djuma. One is Voyatella, which is right here. The other is Gowrie. And then we have one at Chitwa. We have 3 masts. The one is Gowrie that is struck by lightning, and unfortunately Gowrie is our sort of strongest, if you will, receiver. I mean, I could be talking complete nonsense. It's far above my pay grade to know this stuff. And unfortunately it has the greatest reach, the greatest range, and that's the one that's gone down. So Voyatella, I might disappear now. I'll be back up in a sec. I miss Gowrie, Seb. It's only been gone a day and I miss it. Oh, come on, lions. I know you're here. I wonder if Brent is still awake. I'll ask him if he heard anything else. But I feel as though Seb would have heard it if they were still making noise. Those impala are still relaxed. At least I know it wasn't a dream, because at least one other person heard it. Or we both had the same dream, I suppose. It takes me back to many, many years ago when the Matimba males were still here, and there was a massive showdown between the Matimba males and the Birmingham boys. As the Birmingham boys came in, and they were running backwards and forwards on Gowrie Main, and we had 2 vehicles out. Myself and I think it was Brent, who was in the other vehicle. It might have been Scotty. And my vehicle stopped working, just vanished. And it was the most frustrating experience of my life because I had to leave, I had to go back to camp. And if I hadn't had to leave, we would have had, there's the sort of the famous shot of the 5 Birmingham boys trotting in that's been used ad nauseum by us. And we would have had shots of the Matimbas running backwards and forwards as well. It was one of my great sources of frustration. Where? Where are these lions? Nana, yes, you can tell the difference between lions and leopards fighting. Yes, both of them do sound like deep growls, but there is a much... The leopards have a slightly higher pitch, so the similar sounds they make when they're mating, not quite the same, but that sort of that's leopards fighting, and lions go ow, my larynx. I'm fine. I deserve that. I was big silly. It usually turns into a roar rather than a saw. It's me done. I have to go home. I have no voice. Go to the doctor. What did you do? Well, I try to imitate fighting lions. Okay, I'm going back to where I first heard the sound of those lions. I guess if they haven't gone north, they've gone south. Let's go see which bird of prey Jackie has found.
Even this weather has brought two birds of prey together sitting on the same tree. Can you believe it? We have right on the left-hand side, well, my left-hand side, is the white-backed vulture. And just below the white-backed vulture is a bateleur. Both raptors, both who feed on carrion, which is a very interesting thing that's happening here. And quite amusing for me that this rainy, cold weather brings two of the same creature who absolutely compete for the same food source to come and sit and try and catch any kind of rays or warmth or anything so that their feathers can dry and they can actually go back into the sky and search for food once again. Look at that. Look how ruffled up the bateleur's feathers are, and at the top that white-backed vulture is just clanging on. You can almost feel the cold that they might be feeling. And something that always comes to my mind is, yes, when it rains so much, where do these animals go to for shelter? Can you please repeat the question? I did not quite catch that. Illegal, sure. When it comes to birds, my most favorite bird is the kingfisher. I just think they're just such a beautiful, beautiful bird. And that call always reminds me of Africa. That's my most favorite bird. It's always very difficult to choose which is one. So I actually have a running list of animals and birds which are on my list. And we will explore those as we continue with our safari. Look at those feathers. Oh, you can see the wind is quite strong. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. Looking up at the vulture. And he's like, oh, well, we better just sit here. Nothing else to do until we get dry and the sun comes out. Isn't that amazing? Harry, as soon as this is, well, they're going to try their best to dry their wings at the moment, or dry their feathers, so that they can catch the thermals. And thermals normally will be available when the sun comes out, but we shall see. Maybe towards the about 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, there might be a little bit of sun coming out. I do see across in the horizon that the clouds might break and the sun could come out. But if they're hungry, they will definitely go up into the sky and search for food. But right now it's time to preen, take out anything that's in the feathers, dry out the feathers so they can fly. That looks like a juvenile bateleur. Look at that head, the way it's just turned all the way towards the back. Just observing. You'll notice with the bateleur that they don't have a distinctive tail. That's one of the distinguishing features of the bateleur. And a very interesting reason why their tail is much, much shorter than other birds' tails. And it's really because that's why they're called the bateleur. A bateleur is somebody who is walks on a tightrope and needs to balance. So when you watch them in flight, you'll see that they do kind of like a balancing act. So this tail not being there allows them to be able to hover and to be able to swoop down quite low and hover quite low when they're looking for carrion and for carcasses. Quite a clever feature on the bird. I'm wondering to myself, can they actually communicate with each other? Can they hear each other? So yes, while we are pondering about what the vulture and the buttalo are talking about, let's take you over to Steve in the Mara.
A very good morning, everyone, and well done, Jockey. I think you have had a good start. And we're in the Mara Triangle in Kenya, and starting our show with that elephant in the mist. Not sure to say in the mist or in the cloud. We have had some very heavy rains almost the whole of last night, and things just got better maybe half an hour ago, and that's why we are a bit delayed to come in the show. My name is David, and with me this morning is Archie. Archie, good morning. Archie, very excited. Remember, as we have always said before, our safari is very interactive. Any comments, any questions you may have, please send them to us using hashtag SafariLive, or you can keep following us on the YouTube chat stream. Now, we've got elephants to show you, and this reminds me of a movie that was done by Jane Godwell. That was Gorillas in the Mist, and now I might be saying Elephants in the Mist. Pretty cold this morning, 20 degrees Celsius, 68 degrees Fahrenheit. And what you see flying out there, you might be seeing on your screen so many insects that are flying up and down and up, left, right, right, left. We call those insects termites. And in general, they'll always come after the rains have started. I got one almost in my mouth now. Just fell down. I wanted to show you how it looks like. Hopefully get another one. Actually, you're able to come to... Now, we call these insects here termites. Apparently, in this particular stage, we call them owlets. And, yeah, that's owlet there. And we call those ones owlets. Very good. And what happens, this insect, once it starts raining, they'll always pop up out of the mounds. And once they come out from where we are, this is a very big delicacy for us. Depending on where you come from in Kenya or in East Africa, in my village where I come from, we'll always catch them in the air, and then remove the wings like that. And once we remove those wings there, we'll always cook them and fry them. But also we got particular tribes that will just catch them in the air with the wings and just eat them. Some people will catch them, remove the wings, and eat them alive. So this one now is going to bring us some bumper harvest as we are going to the festive season. Hopefully this will continue. Now we'll go back to our elephants, because these ones are equally important. Elephants will not be bothered by these ones. The only thing that will happen, they just get irritated because they fly in their eyes, they fly in their ears, and they fly everywhere. So let's see how many other elephants we have. And in the background, I'll show you, or actually show you, the kind of mist and the clouds I'm talking about. So the elephants look pretty different from the normal elephants we know, because they are all dark in color. And yes, Lou in the final control says very beautiful. But still, I got a feeling as it warms up, the mist will heat up. That's another family there. The one we saw should be in the same family as this one. And it's going to warm up and it's going to clear. Half an hour ago, we could not see anything. It was both mist, heavy clouds, and rain. But things seems to be getting much better now. If you can pan up to the background there and see the clouds that are almost touching the horizon, this is how it has been. And just, sorry about my head there, just look at that. Maybe I might be requesting all of you to give me a tweet of one word. What do you think about that mist there in the Mara Triangle? Hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Just tell me one word. Misty, mysterious. Well, I don't know what I'm talking about there, but just look at that. When we started, the closest I could see was 5 meters from the car. At one point, Archie told me he could not even see me. So one word tweet. What do you think of that beauty we have in the morning in the Mara Triangle? How lovely. And until it starts getting to warm up, then this mist will start to dissipate, rise up. It's going to open up more for us. Paula, a very good morning, and I just love your word, mysterious. Fantastic, Paula. Many thanks, and always a pleasure to hear your name, Paula. Very well done. And I'm sure it's a very Polino. Just to remind you, I still got your shuka, and Archie might show you the Maasai shuka that you like. I have it on because it's cold. And it's right there. Alrighty. What are my plans today? My plans is to look for anything I will see, because until it clears up, it could be a bit difficult to spot cats. But what I've noticed many times, when it rains like this, they'll tend to come out of the grass and stay on the dry surface of the road. In general, more so lions. Lions will not like, I would say, the wetness because of their fur, and they would want to come out and stay on some dry area. Actually, sorry if I may bother you. There's a little bird on this tree here. If you go to the left, just looks like a lilac-breasted roller. We can only see the silhouette of it. No, it just flew away. Tom, thank you very much. Your one word, ghostly. I love that, Tom. Asante sana, many thanks. That sounds good. Did you see Archie? Archie wants me to stop right there. That bird might have stopped another place. Tom, that's lovely. I got ghostly, I got mysterious. Yes, and that's the bird I'm talking about. It keeps flying there. And I guess that was the lilac-breasted roller. And it could have been very nice to see a silhouette of it, because with the kind of light we have now, not much we can see. But it keeps trying it. I have seen where it has gone. It has landed somewhere there. And you're not very far from there. It might also be getting or benefiting from all the termites, all the insects I was talking about that are flying now. So they'll just keep flying and catching them. Let's see, it's not even stopping now. Just went to another tree, and maybe I can get it with elephant. Keep backing up a little bit. Okay. How about that? Is that good, Archie? Okay. You just want a dry, dead stick there. Sorry about that. But funny with these birds, there it is. And that's my favorite bird in the whole world. Thank you, Archie, for the good camera work. But it's very fast. And it's called the lilac-breasted roller. Right there, very well done. And as the colors get better. Now I think because there's so many termites out in the air, it just have to keep flying and catching them as much as it can to have its breakfast. So lucky for her. So again, my plans today, anything that will come out, I might want to stick by the road. Tracy, it could be rather difficult to leave the main road with the kind of rains we have now. In the Mara Triangle in general, we have the black cotton soil, and it gets sometimes very boggy if you detour or you come out of the hard surface for the road, and could be very easy to get stuck. But the good thing, as I said earlier, the animals will tend to come out, especially the lions and even the cheetahs. Hyenas the same. Nobody wants to be wet, especially all the animals that have fur on their bodies. So keep remembering to be sending me one tweet on what you think of the kind of weather we got this morning. And in the meantime, as I continue waiting for your one tweet words, we'll take you back to South Africa to Jamie. And I think Jamie is searching for some cats.
I am, and thinking of my one-word tweet to describe the weather. My one-word tweet is wet. It's wet out here. Right, so Egyptian geese, they were quacking. I don't know what you describe them as doing. Where's that roof pole there? So they were making a noise. Seb and I have done a full circuit around Voyatella Dam. We've come down the other side of the Mulwati. All we've seen is one frightened-looking hyena that was sniffing around, got a fright, and dashed back down into the Mulwati. And I mean, I thought maybe the Egyptian geese that I heard were making a noise because they'd seen a lion, but, in all reality, Egyptian geese make noise at all times, and absolutely anything is an excuse. Bored, make some noise. Rival, make some noise. Lion, make some noise. It rains, make some noise. It's dry, make some noise. You get the idea. You're looking a little ruffled. Now, listening, I cannot hear a thing. and I cannot pick up one track. It is incredibly disturbing. I thought we'd get lucky here. Which way to go? The only thing I can think of to do is to go straight back to where I heard those sounds and get out of the car and go for a quick gallop through the bushes and try and keep it as quick as possible. Debbie, yesterday we had 5, it was a bit weird. Yesterday we had 5 lionesses yesterday morning. And it was all of the adults except for the one with a scar on her hip and one of the sub-adults, so 5. Then yesterday evening, when we came back to the lions, then all of a sudden there were 6. Don't know where she came from. Now Debbie's wondering if the Nkuhuma Pride have split. I have absolutely no idea. I don't think they've split for good. I just think that most of the sub-adults, plus especially the young male, have been with the female with the scar on her hip. Now, I don't think that she would have split away from her pride. She's too close to the rest of the pride members. I mean, she's got, I think the other mother with I think of her as Spotty Nose. I don't think that's her actual name, Bridge Nose. I think they're very closely related. They've always been very closely attached. I can't see why she would split away. So I don't think they've permanently split. I think that it's something that we saw with the Birmingham boys when they came in. Although admittedly the Birmingham takeover was a little bit more, it had much more of an impact on the Nkuhumas. They lost 2 adult members, they lost a sub-adult during that process, where the Evokers just were here. And the cubs are all, the sub-adults are all at an age where they're basically safe, I would say. Except for the young male, perhaps. Don't know. But it is something that we saw with the Birmingham takeover, where the Nkuhumas split apart. I don't feel... Sorry, Vulture, I woke you up. I don't feel that 11 is too many lions to stay in one pride. I really don't. I don't see why they would split. I think it's just purely defensive. I'm going crazy. I know there are lions somewhere. Maybe they killed something outside of Inger's. All right. I'm going back to where I last heard those lions. So while I get there, let's jump back on board with Dave, who has found a predator of the skies.
Good luck, Jamie Patterson. Hopefully you're going to get us lions today. But I might be trying to compete with you and maybe get lions before you. Now, we got a big raptor here. And I think it's Jackie who had some 2 raptors before. And we got a snake eagle. And this is the black-chested snake eagle. You can see the big yellowish eyes early morning and definitely looking for something to eat. It's not the best light for this eagle. Definitely it's not, because it's still very misty, still a little dark. But the advantage would be sometimes, because these particular eagles will mainly have the diet being snakes, the rains might have helped the eagles to have the snakes out of their holes, because it has been very heavy rain. And I'm sure if the angles of some of the snakes that they live in, the holes are not very well done, chances are they tend to come out of the holes, and that could be a big plus for this eagle here. You notice the characteristic very sharp and hooked beak of almost all eagles in Africa, which will always help them to tear flesh. But of course these ones will want to tear lots of snakes with them. And Archie's doing some fantastic job there, you can see. So the yellow eye is very characteristic of most snake eagles. The only difference with snake eagles, unlike the normal eagles, they do not have booted tarsi. The legs tend to be bare. They don't have the feathers, because most eagles always have feathers covering them all the way, almost to the tarses and to the talons, but snake eagles do not have that. But also they have a particular angle they patch, like 90 degrees, unlike the other eagles, slightly bit less than that, but they have a more inclined or more vertical positioning, unlike the normal eagles. This is pretty special. And initially we had seen this eagle early at one point, and then Lou in the final control was like, wow, snake eagle. And before she linked to me from either Jamie, the eagle flew away, and I told her, don't worry, she may not be going very far, she'll just stick around with us. Hello, eagle. One thing I respect these eagles for, they have fantastic vision. Their sight is pretty good, because they can spot snakes from quite a long distance. There was one time I was on a safari and we saw an eagle, but that must have been a brown snake eagle. And she kept looking in a particular direction for quite some time, and then she flew away, and we thought, let's follow her. And we drove for about 2 miles, and she picked herself a black mamba. You know, I did not understand that. However, she landed. She did not even pounce on it. She just went, landed, picked it up, and patched a tree. Very good question. Do these eagles eat snakes exclusively? No. I mean, eagles will get any other thing. Snake eagles in general, the main diet, I would say 50%, 60% are snakes. But they'll also get other reptiles. I'm talking about, skinks. I'm talking about lizards. But should they get a grasshopper or an insect, definitely they catch it very quickly. Or even rodents. I'm talking about mice. I'm talking about rats. But also eagles being raptors. Raptors are big birds that, raptors translates to birds that stays, or birds that are able to grasp something forcefully. They have been known to hunt other smaller birds. So as much as we say they eat snakes, it's not exclusive. They're not exclusive snake eaters. They'll also be eating other stuff. But the main diet, as I said earlier, they specialize in snakes, and I think they got pretty special digestive system that the venom in the snake does not affect them. Paula, very good to hear your name again. In general, the female of a snake eagle is slightly a bit bigger in size than the male. That's how you tell. And of course, it's when you see them together. But like this one, Paula, could be rather difficult, I can tell you, I'm sorry, to know there's a male or female. But should you see two, definitely, of course, when you see the mating, you can always tell the male from the female. But should you see two patched together and you look in size, all eagles, we have that rule that the females are always slightly bit larger in size than the males. And I think of all the snake eagles, to me, this is one of the most beautiful eagles. And I want actually maybe to leave the eagle because it's not much. And if you actually come right on the road and then move a little bit to the right, we have a hammercop somewhere there, which might entertain us. And I've seen, I was talking about the eagles also going for smaller birds. Yes, it's a hammercop somewhere there. Exactly, very well done. And it's how she blends in on the ground there. Now, with the rains having come, it's joy, I would say, for almost all the animals here in the wilderness, because hammercops will always eat invertebrates, and sometimes they don't have to go to water pans to get fish or frogs, because you've got frogs now coming out to celebrate the rain. Very good camera work there, Archie. It's a hammercop. Cop meaning a hammerhead. And she flies away there. One of the smallest birds we got here in that size, but they build very huge nests. Excellent work following it, Archie. And definitely any frogs coming out because of the rains now, they'll be getting it. Any toads, that's what they'll be feeding on. And any invertebrate, that's what they'll be enjoying. And there's one also actually right in the middle of the road, and I would guess these are two. And that is the other. And maybe Paula now, we might be having a male and female, I'm just guessing. We have seen them when they build nests. They'll be building together, and there they are. And also I got some homework to do today and finding out how would I tell a male from a female of a hammerkop. And as I said, the rain brings so many goodies to most of these birds here. And of course, we still have the termites. I'm sure they're flying, because once the termites come out, you can see them flying there on your screen from the mounds after it rains. They fly for about an hour, 2, 3 sometimes, excuse me, and then they're going to lose their wings. And after they lose their wings, they'll be crawling on the ground. And crawling on the ground, it will give the advantage to these birds, just picking them easy food without struggling a lot on how they go hunting or when they have to go fishing in water ponds. This rain have brought them lots of blessings, and you can tell they're happy picking all the allets. Kalina, I would guess so. I am not 100% sure, but I think these birds here, Kalina, are monogamous, and they tend to stick together, Kalina. I want to believe the hammerkops would mate for life, and look at this, it was just coming almost to patch where we had the snake eagle to just pass. I would say yes, they would mate for life for the hammerkops. All right, very good entertainment from the hammerkops, from the snake eagle, and it's time to move on. And Archie's reminding me to make sure I stay on the road. We don't make any mistakes of going on the side of the road. We don't get bogged up by the black cotton soil. Okay, let's see what else we might be getting. Very interesting, starting to drizzle here again, which is fine. So the elephant. Nature girl, how many types of eagles we got here? As we might be showing you some elephants, I want to show you on my book, but I'll start first by saying, as we watch the elephants, we got the snake eagles, which we have like the main ones where we are. We got the black-chested snake eagle, that's the main one, and the second species of eagles we got here are what you call the brown snake eagles. In general, they got rounded heads. Then you got the crested eagles, we got martial eagles, we got crowned eagles, and let me remember any other eagles that we got here as I'm still be going to my books. And we have the tawny eagle, we have the Wahlberg's eagle, we have the black eagle, we have the martial eagle just said, we have the marsh eagle, which one are there? It's an all, it's basically more or less like it, but I'm going to be going to my book and see as how many eagles we got here. See the elephants there, just grazing slowly without issues. Okay, there's a friend of mine who was just passing behind me there. If you heard some noise from a car. Alright, Kalina, don't go anywhere. I want to get you as many eagles that we got here in the Mara. Not forgetting the African fish eagle. How would I forget the African fish eagle? Okay. Because it's still cool, these elephants are not flapping their wings because it is still very cold now. But as it warms up, they'll start flapping their wings later in the day. Alrighty, let me know, Archie, when you're ready, and you can show Kalina all the types of eagles that we got here. Alright, we'll start at the very top there. Very good. So the number one, call them the Verox eagle, and sometimes called the Verox eagle, the black eagle. That's the one top there, which we rarely see in the Mara. We have it, but we rarely see. We got another one that's called the greater spotted eagle. That's number 2 there. Alright, actually, let's go to number 3, which is very common. That's the imperial eagle. That's there. That's number 3. Alright, then you're going to go to number 4. This is called the lesser spotted eagle, which many times we confuse with the greater spotted eagle. But because when it is in that morph there, we'll be going to number 5, which is almost everywhere in East Africa and including Juma. And number 5 is there, and that's the tawny eagle. Lots of tawny eagles around where we are. And then the number 7, which I really love, but we rarely see, is the Wahlberg's eagle. Right there. Wahlberg's eagle. Thank you, Archie. If you allow me to flip to the next page, I'm sure we might get the other eagles I was talking about. We have the martial eagle. We got to number 8, right at the very bottom there. I would want to just go there. That's the very number 8. There, that is the martial eagle, and it's one of the largest eagles, Kalina, that we got in Africa, one of the largest eagles. And then I want to show you the African crowned eagle, which is to me the strongest of them all. And that's number 7 there. That is the African crowned eagle. And to me, it is pretty strong. We have seen them lifting baby baboons. We have seen them, are you seeing it actually? Very good. Yeah, right there. We have seen them lifting small little fawns of or lambs of antelopes. And to me, it's the strongest eagle. Very difficult to see it because mainly you get them in very thick vegetations or very heavy forest with very tall trees. That's their kind of habitat. I'm not sure where the African fish eagle is because we have lots of them here. Should be the next page, maybe. Yes, of course, we have all these snake eagles. And I also forgot the batlua, number 7, actually, down there. How could I forget that? Number 7 there, that's the batlua, one also of my favorite eagles, simply because of her colors. And then going back to number 6 there, I had talked of number 6, and that's the African fish eagle. It's number 6 there. Thank you very much, Archie. Excellent, very good, Kalina. I hope you've seen all the eagles got, but still got a lot more. Black-chested snake eagle, as you said, short-toed snake eagle, southern banded snake eagle, loads and loads of eagles that we got here. Well, it's spitting here, but I think where Jackie is not spitting, it could be raining.
And yes, it is raining, and we had an impala there. He's just run off. It is one of those rainy days for all of us, both here and in the Mara. And I'd just like to apologize. I did get it wrong. I said I'm sending you over to Steve. I didn't hear very well, and it is our David. Apologies for that, David. Yeah, so we have put on the covers, so which means that filming is just going to be a little bit more constricted as we don't have that much room to maneuver around. But we will do our best to show you all the animals that are out and about in this very wet and cold weather. As you can see, we've got some horns just sticking out there and ears just sticking out there of an impala ram. He had an oxpecker also on his Zach, it's difficult to say which animals benefit the most. I would say all the animals benefit the most. And out of all of them, the tortoise definitely benefit the most because they're close to the ground and they need the water. And the sand is nice and soft. And snails as well are the ones that benefit because it's now nice and moist and they can easily travel through the ground and also get to all the herbaceous food that they require. So it looks like this guy is hiding from us. Don't know why all of a sudden. I know what it is, because they are so used to seeing us without the covers. So now he's probably thinking, what is this monstrosity that is here? I'm quite sure that's what it is. Why he's hiding behind. He's not used to seeing the covers of the car. Otherwise, they generally aren't this shy with hiding behind. And I have to say, it doesn't look very pretty from the outside when you look at it. The car, I mean. So yes, I'm going to carry on along because it doesn't look like he wants to come out. I'm getting very properly wet. We've been discussing whether I should get my poncho or what I should do. And then I said, no, I'm out in the bush. I'm going to rough it. And it's quite nice to have this wetness anyways after all the sweating of the hot sun. So I'm going to just take you along and see what else we can find along the way. But it is beautiful. It is very, very beautiful with this rain. Absolutely, Julie. You've been watching the show and you can now completely contrast between what you saw during the winter dry periods and what you're seeing now. It's like a whole new transformation, and almost instantly overnight, if you can compare. So, yeah. So we're not going to complain about it at all. We're just going to say thank you, because we know that the animals are going to have lots and lots of food. And this weather also makes it very difficult to track animals. And as now it's wet, so I can't even look for tracks on the ground. But there we have, can you see? Okay, so we have found a lonely vulture again here on the right hand side, and while we are looking at this vulture, let us take you over to Dave, who has found buffalo.
Very good, Jockey, well done. Hopefully we're also going to see a few more vultures here. What I've noticed, or when I was in Joma, we had maybe 5 or 10 vultures, but when you compare the vultures in the Mara and Joma, we have a lot more here than in Joma. Talking of vultures, talking of birds, you see that buffalo is giving a lot of got so many oxpeckers hitchhiking on her back, and those are oxpeckers, and definitely they'll always get to remove ticks and bugs from these herbivores, having a kind of a symbiotic relationship. We've got 2 types of oxpeckers in Africa, either the red-billed or the yellow-billed oxpeckers. And these are the African buffaloes, or African Cape buffaloes we call them. Could be similar to the bisons out there in North America. And always going in huge herds. Could get groups of anything from 50, sometimes up to 500. Both males and females. You can see, as Archie is showing you, what a huge herd you got here. And I was estimating to be about 250 to 300 buffaloes altogether. And taking advantage of the rains, where I would guess the grass have softened and lots of shoots coming up because of the rain, fresh grass coming up. Not sure that oxpecker is looking for the termites that are flying in the air, or is trying to use its beak, that's like a Caesar, to sieve through the fur of the buffalo and get the mites or ticks or both. We've always followed these oxpeckers, and I think they tend to stick more with the buffaloes than any other herbivore out here in Africa. I mean, they'll always be with other species like zebras or wildebeests, rhinos, hippos, but in general I've always found them to love the buffaloes. Either the buffaloes are very good hosts for ticks, just as the cows would be. It's now time to eat, because as it gets warmer later in the day, these buffaloes will be slowing down, being ruminant. They'll be slowing down and regurgitating and chewing cud later in the day. Has cleared up, and you can see the light now looks just fantastic. So both males and females in this herd, like the one you see there with the oxpecker, is definitely a male, and you can always tell male with their big heavy horns, especially at the base, that we call boss. I don't know where the boss came from, B-O-S-S, but that's how we describe those heavy horns of males. Way back, they used to be hunted a lot by the hunters, and they ended up calling buffalo one of the big 5, and mainly is because of their big heavy rack of horns that they would hunt them. Long time ago, they used to look for the huge, or the size, to have a pibroch for that female there. And you can notice her horns are not as big as the one we just saw earlier, and that's apart from the normal or the obvious difference between males and females. The horns can always tell you the difference between the two. Lermo, good morning, and always a pleasure to hear your name. Buffaloes in general will not do that. We'll always see them once in a while getting to bases of trees and scratching themselves. But unlike zebras, that you'll always see them rolling in the mud or rolling, I mean not in the mud, or dust bathing, buffaloes rarely do that. We may see them wallowing themselves in some mud wallows, but buffaloes will rarely, dust bathe. But should they get very itchy, you'll see them like going to a base of a very strong tree and just see them scratching themselves. But I think also the ox pickers, like the one you see there, are more. They do them a lot of good job to help them get the mites out. Come to dust bathing, I think, to me, zebras are the best to do that when they get very itchy. And then buffaloes will either see, sometimes you've seen them going to very big boulders, very big rocks, and just scratching themselves, scratching their tummies, or some stumps of trees. But I would say they rarely dust bathe like the zebras. Pretty cool, pretty quiet where we are. And buffaloes being, a lot of water drinkers, they may not be taking too long before going to have a drink. Dory, very good question. Where do ox pickers nest? We got these very huge trees, Dory, where they have crevices or openings or stones, of like openings or holes, and that's where they will nest. And one thing you have noticed with ox pickers, Dory, if you go and see a nest of an ox picker, they actually line their nests with buffalo hair. That's one thing that I learned when I was in college or when we were out here in the bush as I move on. And should you see a nest out here in the bush and don't get the actual birds inside and wonder whose it is, but if you get the lining has been done by buffalo hair, sorry about that, definitely you can tell that belongs to an ox picker. So huge trees with little openings like what some of the trees that we have here, that's where they will normally nest. All right, time to move on. And I've always seen the Olorol escarpment every day when I drive, but not this morning because it's very covered with the mist and clouds. But talking of mist and cloud, Jamie maybe is looking at the rain.
I am looking at the rain, for that is all that I can do. How's your day going, everyone? This is the top of our roof. It's actually the corner of our roof, and the nice thing about this is that it's almost directly above me. Fortunately not totally above me, just enough so that it dribbles down onto the dashboard and then I get the splashback. I'm very happy it's raining, I really am. I really wouldn't have minded if it had just held off for 2 hours, but hey, can't have everything in life. Stop blowing wind. Unless you're blowing this away. There's absolutely no sign of this going anywhere. I stopped to cover up my monitor and we never moved after that. It is just, it's a proper settling rain. And you know what, this actually serves me right, because yesterday I said, you know what we really need is a solid day of rain. Well, we've got one. Maybe I'm going to say today what we really need is a sighting with hyena cubs. And what we also really need is to find those lions fighting. It's amazing. This road was completely, not dry, but it didn't have any puddles when we started driving along here. It's now all soaking in. This is one of the reasons why mitre drains exist, because this sort of road provides very easy passage for the water to flow down, and it upsets a road itself, upsets the natural balance of the water table. So those things that are dug into the side of a road, known as mitre drains, and that's what we're looking at here, are there specifically to counteract that effect and to feed the water back off the road and down into the surrounding vegetation. Now, if that were not the case, then this, because we're on a we're close to a drainage line, we're on a slope, the water would all pool on the road, and not enough of it would go into the drainage line where it's meant to be. So you can upset the balance of the water table completely by putting roads in the wrong place, or not maintaining them and not having mitre drains and bolsters. The bolster is the bump that's up in front. Those are not to make sure we go slowly. We have to go slowly. You know, that's part of our job description. They are there to stop water from flowing in the wrong place. I'm going to have to drive at some point. It's going to happen. I've just been hoping that this is going to lessen slightly. It's not going to. Let's go across to Dave, who, poor thing, is managing very well in the Mara. He's found a hippo outside of water. Let's see what it's doing.
Thank you, Jamie. And we found this young hippo here, and not sure he looks lost or confused, but one thing can tell, she's not very happy. I'm just guessing, not sure for a fact, that he's a boy, and most likely you see he got some wounds on his body there, a lot of teeth marks, a lot of bitings, a lot of fresh wound, and I'm guessing he might have been thrown out from the group. And youngsters at a particular age, you'll get the dominant male showing them the door, and either he has to go look for a group of bachelors and join them, or he may have to leave alone for some time on his own, and there he has disappeared. I want to just move forward a little bit, because it's not unusual to see hippos on their own, but what happens when it's time to go live their life? Yeah, he is gone. They'll always be shown the door by the dominant males, and they have one more look on that hippo there. Sorry, before he disappears. And it's not very far from water, because hippos and water are synonymous, and they'll never live without water. But I'm sure, because it's still very cold and all the rains we had last night, the temperatures will favor him to be out, or her to be out of the water. But as I said earlier, I would guess it's a boy and a youngster which have just been shown out and trying to look for a new life, a new beginning, go join other boys. I'm sure the first few days or few weeks he might go through a bit of confusion before he knows exactly what to do. Where do you want to go? Silicon, hello, and how are you doing? And I would tell you, yes, in Africa, look at that face there. Not sure he had some teeth marks or some kind of claw marks there. But I'll tell you, I agree with you. In Africa, most of the deaths have been caused by hippos. Silicon, the village I come from, I would say we have buffaloes and hippos count, I would say 8 out of 10 deaths in Africa or in my village. And the problem is, people will always go to fetch water early in the morning or late in the evening when it's cool. And early morning is when the hippos like this one here are going back home. Going back home, I'm talking about going back to the lake, or going back to the river, or going back to the swamps they live in. And when we meet them, oops, they're very heavy animals, and you have to engage your four-wheel drive to go there. So Silicon, and that's the time. We meet them when they're going back. And as much as we can, we have always said, try and make sure you're never between a hippo and the water. And then come in the evening, if in the village we realize we need more water before darkness, we'll try and go fetch more water to use in the household at night. And when you go again, either to the rivers or to the lakes or to the swamps to get water, it's the time for the hippos also to come out. They have spent the better part of the day in the water, so basically they're hungry and they really want to come out. And in the water they tend to remain in the same position. They move a little bit here and there, maybe 10 meters, 20 meters this way, but of course they also want to come out and start moving their bodies. But above all, they are also hungry and they want to come out so badly. So at that time again is when they cause lots of damage to the people. So if you're lucky, you might come with some fractured ribs or legs. If you're unlucky, you might be dead. Carol, very good. In general, in every school or what you'd call a group of hippos, you'll always get one dominant male and maybe some sub-adults, but there's always one particular dominant male in every group. Yes, Carol, there'll always be a dominant male in the group. There could be other sub-adult males in the group, but once they start showing they are becoming big boys, like the one we just saw there, the dominant male will show him the door and leave. But in general, they're very territorial also, and they tend to take care of the females. All right, you can see all the beauty from last night, all the water on the road here. As we drive around. And this area for the river of lions. So that's what I'll be concentrating, particular of lions that I love, called the sausages. But from where I am, I think that area rained so heavily, and I'm thinking I will not venture there. Maybe this afternoon I might go there, but this time I want to stick around and look for lions that I have not seen for quite some time. The mists have cleared up, but if I look on my right, I think the clouds are still there. Let me give you a little swing there, because I enjoy seeing the clouds every morning. And I was talking about the auroral escarpment that I could not see because it's now covered by this beautiful, it's partly mist and partly cloud. And look at that. That is where we normally have the auroral escarpment, but now the escarpment is totally covered by the mist and the cloud. Very good job there, Archie. Okay. Have some beautiful starlings in South Africa.
While some other birds are miserable in this rainy, cold weather, we have the Birchall starlings here, which are having a field day. It's one big party for them in the rain. And we've been watching quite a few of them pecking at the ground. And looking around, there are quite a few alates. And for those of you who don't know what alates are, they are flying termites. Usually come out when the rains come out. So it's a feast for these birds today. They can't imagine having more food available than this. So they're not at all bothered by the rain. To them, it's a nice, a happy Christmas party, an early Christmas party, so to speak. There they go off. Just looking at the road, it gives you an indication of just how much rain has fallen so far. You can see it's quite deep, the water already. Quite a few millimeters that have fallen. And you're used to seeing these birds in the sunlight, glistening, this sort of bluish, glossy color. Now you can see that they truly are a black bird indeed, because there's no sun available to reflect off those feathers. And now you see them in their true nature. Oh, they're so happy. They don't mind the rain at all. Oh, there we go. Almost fell over trying to get the rest of the water off the feathers. So sweet. I'm going to see if he's going to call. Lots and lots of food available. And it's very interesting because you often see the yellow-billed hornbills, the Birchalls, glossy starling. You often see the fork-tailed drongo all hanging out together, having what's called like a feeding frenzy. Now there's only one kind that we see here today. All the other birds have said, no, I'm not willing to brave this weather. I'm going to sit and be covered up. But these starlings have said, no, I'm going to take advantage of every single moment I can. This much food I haven't seen and I won't get, and there's nobody around to compete with me. In the background, I don't know if you could hear, we've also got our woodlands kingfisher going prip, 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 such a lovely sound, which makes this dreary weather so pleasant. Good. He's running around just picking. A really good sign that summer is definitely here for us here in South Africa. I don't think we can have enough of that now. We've got seasons as like or anywhere in the world. There are seasons. We've got the dry season, we've got autumn and spring. But generally our rains will fall between October to round about, I'd say February. And the heaviest rains that we do receive are towards sort of the end, sort of December, January time. That's when we will experience the heaviest rains. So it all depends really on the weather cycle, how it goes, what the rains that we have falling down. We are unlike overseas. Like my parents come from Belgium, and I remember in Belgium it used to rain 9 months of the year. So almost every day you just experienced rain. That's very different here in South Africa. We've got specific times of the year when rain will fall down, depending on where you are in South Africa. So while we are looking at the stylings, enjoying all the aliens, we are going to take you over to Jamie, who's got some impala.
As Seb has just said, if we think that we're a bit miserable, well, just have a look at these poor creatures, desperately sheltering up against the side of a guarri bush, looking thoroughly put out and unimpressed with life. Oh, shame, little ones. No fun being little in the cold. They lose their body heat that much faster than an adult. So the poor things are completely soaked. There's a harsh existence out here. Come rain or shine, the animals can't exactly go. What have you seen? Where are the lions? What have you seen? Where? Look, it's a ram. So disappointed, because I've come back to where I thought the lions were, and I've got nothing. I mean, now the chances of us finding tracks are completely, it's washed away. There's not a hope we are going to find the tracks of lions. And you know what, I really want to drive on the dam wall to check on the other side, but I don't think I can. I don't think I'm allowed to after about 15 mils of rain. How much has this been, Seb? 14?
Yeah.
Definitely 14.
At least, yes.
No, not at least. Maximum 14, not 15.
So we can go.
So we can go. It's only been 14 mils. Definitely. The only other people who are out this morning are cheetah plains. Mr. Public, my answer to that should be that the predators love this weather. They take advantage of the confusion and discomfort of the animals. Truth be told, most downpours, big cats sit and look thoroughly miserable. They puff themselves up and they tuck themselves up under a bush and they hunch their shoulders around themselves and they look totally discontented. So, I mean, my answer to that should be, guys, at any moment a lion could come leaping out of the bushes to grab a baby impala, but actually they're probably hiding somewhere. They feel the rain and the cold and the wind too, and they don't like being damp. And they are probably hiding. The only animal that really does revel in this weather is hyenas and dogs. Dogs don't mind it either, although when it is really heavy, even they will curl up because, you know, then they, just in the same way that it disadvantages the prey, they too could potentially go barreling off into lions or something like that. Oh, shame impalas. I'm just as damp though, so I fully sympathize. You know who I'm thoroughly unimpressed with right now? And it's not his fault at all. Is Brent. He's in bed. And therefore is worthy of scorn. Dory, you want to know if impala can get hypothermia? It is unlikely unless it really got unseasonably cold. But what you do find with the little ones is that they are often killed by sudden cold snaps. Baby warthog, baby impala, older eland and zebra, animals like that, and some are more sensitive to sudden drops in temperature than others, and obviously the little ones are the most vulnerable, or the older individuals in bad condition. So if there is a massive drop in temperature, then it is possible to find. Oh shame, look, it's shivering. The one on the right. Oh, I want to take it home and wrap it in a blanket. Oh, give it a hot chocolate. Give it a little rub down. Oh, poor little baby. So yes, it can happen with the little ones. And we might even find, because it really has dramatically dropped in temperature, we might even find a few dead baby impala, which is terribly sad. But a reality of a cold snap like this. Oh, that impala looks like I feel. Oh, shame. You know those silly not American tourists, but in America, that silly American story of the people who saw the baby bison and thought it was going to get too cold and put it in the car. They picked up a baby bison and put it in a car. I mean, we laugh. It was actually profoundly stupid. I would not, of course, pick up a baby impala, take it home, rub it down with a blanket, and give it hot chocolate. All right, everybody, get knitting. We're going to have a jersey drive or a jumper drive for the baby impalas. You're going to knit little waistcoats that we will fit to all of them in as bright a color as possible, so that there's just baby impala running around with the Wild Earth logo at the back. SafariLive. Yes, please, all the pom-poms. Little pom-poms, and in fact, if you could make them little leg warmers as well, matching leg warmers. Imagine how adorable that would be. Yes, little beanies with holes for the ears. Oh, perfect. Just little chest warmers. Oh, and scarves, little scarves. All right, those of you who are good at Photoshop and or art, please, by all means, feel free to draw us a little impala lamb with a knitted waistcoat. Although knitted would not really work in this rain, would it? We'll go with it. I know the impala ewes could probably do with some as well, but, well, you know, we have to go for the most vulnerable first, and that's the babies. Oh dear, sorry, just hold on a sec, I just need to rescue a radio. It's getting a little damp. There we go, okay, I'll just redirect the water to my bottom instead. Why not? It's the joy of these rain covers. They're designed so that every bit of water that falls into the front of the car redirects to the guide's bottom. That and the drip. Ta-da! It's amazing, beautifully designed. Beautifully designed. Well, I suppose we're waterproof. The rest of the stuff isn't. Oh, there's an Inyala. Come on, guys, seriously, where are these lions? I really don't want to have to move far, and I know they were around here. Oh, there's a male chasing a little male away. Well done. Well done, Rosemary. Rainy days, and it is indeed a Monday. It feels like a Monday morning, doesn't it, Seb? What are those impala looking at? They're probably looking at people, but it gives me an excuse to turn around and face the opposite direction. So let's do that, shall we? Let's do that. We're facing into the wind. All right. Drips everywhere. Let's go across to Jackie, who hopefully is managing to stay a little drier.
We're trying our best to stay dry out here, but some of the birds, we just saw the starlings that were also taking advantage of this rain with the aylettes that are available. Now here's another bigger bird that's also doing the very same. It is the guinea fowl. It's actually trying to, well, hiding a little bit behind the bush. Keeps coming out onto the road every now and then. Let's see if it will come out again. It's a beautiful little bird, really, with a bit of an annoying call, but quite useful when you hear the call because you'll know whether there are predators or intruders around. Let me see if I can go a little bit further and see if I can get a glimpse. It just seems to be behind that bush. So, it's called the helmeted guinea fowl, and you'll see why when we come closer, why it's called the helmeted guinea fowl. Where did it go off? Oh, there it is. Gone over to the other side. Here we are. James, we've got the covers on, so this is quite a... yes, this is going to be very challenging indeed. We're going to forget about it, but let me carry on driving. As I was saying, it's called the helmeted guinea fowl because it has a bit of a helmet that comes out here. Very lovely little colors. And yeah, this weather is proving to be quite a challenge for all of us. But we're going to power on and see what other interesting things we can find. Chris, as far as I know, I'm not quite sure if they do come in other colors, but the ones that we get here is the ones that you have. And I actually have seen sort of an albino. We get two different types of guinea fowl here, but I also have seen sort of, you could call it an albino type of guinea fowl, which I have seen. And the feathers are like black and white that I've seen, but it is actually the African helmeted guinea fowl. I'm just gonna... So, and in the road here we've got some beautiful doves. I'm just gonna stand here so we can see it. Now this is called the Cape turtle dove, distinguished by the black ring on the back of the neck. You can see it's also taking advantage of the aylettes that are in the road. It's fascinating. So all these birds are taking advantage of the rain and the availability of food, where most of the bigger animals are taking cover somewhere deep in the bush. Now this, oh look, what's that? That's a spider. It's a spider coming and walking across. It's a spider that was walking across that side. Quite a big one. There we are. There we are, just as well Lauren's not here because she doesn't like spiders. There we go. There we are. It's interesting that it didn't take the spider, but all the other little insects it will eat. Okay. While we enjoy the pitter-patter of these doves, let's take you over to Dave with the buffalo.
Well done, Jackie. I want to give you one small assignment. Please, if you can, Jackie, get us a cat, because the buffalo you see there and the stump you see, this buffalo was scratching itself using that dead tree there. I can't remember the name of the viewer, But there's a viewer who had asked, do buffaloes do dust bathing, or how do they scratch themselves? And we just found her scratching herself using that stamp there. She just stopped, and I just remembered that question from that viewer. I can't remember the name of the viewer, Lou, but if you look on that stamp carefully, you can see one side of the back is worn out, an indication that it has been used many times by either these buffaloes or Norwaris or even elephants. But that's how they scratch themselves. So they rarely do, dust bathing like zebras, but they look for very solid trees or stumps like this and just keep rubbing themselves and get a bit of massage. This is maybe when the ox pickers have not removed all the ticks or mites from them. Hello. And we're talking of the dangerous animals in Africa, and as soon as we saw the hippo, we discussed hippo as one of them, but number two also are buffaloes. The village I come from, we have both the buffaloes and the hippos, but I would say these two animals have caused a lot of mayhem where I come from. Alrighty, speak of the devil. Julie, pretty good question. An adult buffalo would be about 700 kilograms, 1,400, 1,500 pounds or thereabout. Not very heavy animals as much as they look very big. And the females could be anything 1,200, 1,250 pounds, 600 kilos. This young girl here. And we're talking of how they scratch themselves. And there is the answer. I'm sure the viewer who had asked me this question, you're still tuned in, and your answer is being given in a better way than what I gave you. Come on, it's my time. You have done enough. But the tree you need to share? Not really. So the one in front is a girl, but I think the male is also chipping in to enjoy that rub. What a good feeling, I would guess. And I think the male was a bit selfish. Pushed the female out. That was not right. Another male comes in. Do you want to do the same, or do you want to do your rib cage? Yes, it's time to do the neck area. I'm imagining having a massage. How cool is this, eh? I'm trying to imagine this boy's feeling so good. Trying to imagine it's myself there. I don't know how rough that tree bark is. But you don't want to meet that face out in the bush. I wouldn't want to be out of the car and meet that face. He'll give you no chance of survival. Turn around the other side. Well, let's see what you do on the other side of the neck. That stump must be very solid. I'm trying to imagine the force that these buffaloes are putting on it, and I don't see it shaking. It means it's pretty well rooted and must have been a very solid tree during its heyday times. Don't eat the grass around that base of the tree, because of that base of that stump, because it will easily cave and fall. Yes, Lou, I agree with you. He seems to be having the best of time. He's not bothered of eating and just scratching and getting a bit of massage, if I would call that massage. How lovely is that? Front and backwards, and the oxpecker still. I'm not sure the oxpecker is after the ticks or mites or enjoying the movement of the buffalo. Definitely, he's getting the best of his life, eh? And this other one on the right is eating, because the base of the tree has slightly bit much greener grass than the other side. And if asked, I would tell them, do not keep eating the grass at the base, because this stump will soon cave, and once it cave, you'll not get your masseuse who is doing your wonderful job. You'll not get any physiotherapist out here to keep rubbing your necks and ribs. Is it time to have a break, or do you want to take over the other one? It's two boys here, and I'm sure they have to agree who goes next. Most of them here, males, could be like a bachelor more males than females in this particular herd of buffaloes. See the heavy horns I was talking about for the boys. Look at that. You're imagining meeting a buffalo like that out here in the African wilderness. Lauren, I'll tell you, buffaloes are bark grazers or they're mixed feeders depending on what they want. I'm not sure you can hear them pulling off the grass there. So some will go for grass and some will go for leaves because every vegetation here will have different kind of nutrition or vitamins. So depending on what a particular buffalo will want, if it's lacking this particular nutrient or this particular vitamin, they will know in their bodies and they'll know I'll either go for the grass or I'll either go for the leaves. Because you look at those ones there, that one eating is more on the leaves. Small little bush there, very good Archie. And the one looking at us is eating grass. So depending on what their bodies will demand, just like you, when you feel you have a craving of a particular food, or you think you are running low in particular minerals or calcium or phosphorus, or when maybe you visit a doctor and the doctor will tell you you need to get more vitamin C, you need to get this, you're having a little friendly fight there. Boys will be boys. Yes, so it will depend on what exactly the body of these buffaloes will demand. So either go for the grass, sometimes they go for twigs, little branches, some leaves. A buffalo fight is one of the biggest things you'll ever see, and when you see a real one, I'm sure these are just sparring, these are just good friends. When you see a real buffalo fight, sometimes it takes 3 hours to 5 hours non-stop, and they bleed to death. You see the strong horns and they poke their eyes, their ears, their bodies. Either this one or one of these could have had a fight before. How nice to see how they're locking their horns. They're very good camera work there, Archie. Very well done. Hello, boys. And the fights will come maybe when they're talking about dominancy, or when maybe a buffalo male will want to be thrown out of the herd. Got another pair just following cue from those, and they're also going for each other. But I guess, this is just friendly. Remember, our safari is always very interactive. Should you have any comments or questions, please send them through #SafariLive. And you may also keep following us on the YouTube chat stream. An oxpecker. Alrighty, my oxpecker is right there, but I think Jockey could be having a different species of a bird.
So yes, it is a feeding frenzy of all different kinds of birds this morning, which we of course are grateful for, as we do love our birds. And in front of us now we've got a Senegal lapwing, also taking advantage of the abundance of food that's available now, the alates that are around. It is very skinny legs, thin legs, big body. Just a lovely picture seeing it here near the water. Paradise, yes, I'm also surprised to see so many birds. I would think with this heavy rain that they would also be looking for shelter. But they will not, however, let go of the fact that there is an abundance of insects now available, which are the alets, which are the flying termites that have come out with this rain. Oh, look at it fluffing its feathers out. Lapwings are very, very interesting characters. They're one of the bravest birds I know, not afraid to take on an intruder or predator coming through. They're very, very fierce in protecting their nest if the nest is nearby. It looks like he's on his own, or she's on her own. Looking about. Aren't those colors just wonderful? and they love being near water. Still have the kingfishers in the background. They don't seem to be giving up. So as I was saying, that lapwings are very, very brave birds that will defend their nest. But if they find that the predator is still coming towards them, towards their nest, they will actually feign injury, or fake injury, should I say. And they've got different ways. The different lapwings that we have different ways of showing, of faking this injury, should I say. Some of them will sort of tuck their wing under and pretend that the wing is injured to take attention away from the nest so that the predator comes towards them instead of going towards the nest. And yesterday we saw a 3-banded plover which displayed a very interesting way of defending its nest, or its chick. It actually had a baby chick. And it sort of fanned out its feathers towards the back, and I thought, what is this bird doing? But it was also trying to take attention away from the fact the little chick was there. Very interesting little birds. And they're not afraid to dive bomb a predator as well. So if the chance comes that they can fly and actually dive into the predator and try and chase it away, they will take that chance too. That's why I like them so much. Oh, and there we've got, oh, that's amazing. We have a lilac-breasted roller that also just landed there. A real feeding festivity for all the beautiful birds that are around today. So I'm going to move on. Let's see if we don't disturb these birds. So it looks like the rain is just sort of quietening down a bit. It's still quite windy. And we've got the doves in the way. I don't want to disturb them. The dove is just drinking water now. That's a very good question. How we tell the difference between a plover and a lapwing is the size. The lapwings are much larger in size, and the length of their legs is also much longer. So a plover, you'll see, is much smaller. Okay. So we're going to take a nice drive along. You see the rain has now quietened down. I am quite sopping wet. Tried my best to keep dry, but without avail. But it's really nice to see the park like this. I think when we see the sun coming out, we'll see a whole new different light coming through. Nancy, yes, absolutely. We've had quite a bit of rain. I'm guessing probably about 10 mils. Oh, well, not flowing as in large amounts of water, but there will definitely be significant amounts of water in the riverbeds. Oh, look what we have here. As I mentioned before, this is the perfect weather for our shelled friends. So we get 2 different types of tortoises here, and this is the other one. This is the Speaks tortoise, which is distinguished from the leopard tortoise, as it has a flatter shell. The leopard tortoise has got more of a dome. And he's on his way. I always love to see how they walk. Looks like he's on a mission. It is getting quite cold out here. But he's not worried. He's just going to be going along, enjoying the moisture, enjoying the rain. Mark, yes, he does look like he's a busy tortoise. I'm always fascinated to know, how do they know exactly where they're going? Because they seem to be on like a mission, on a direction specifically of where they want to go. And he seems to know where he wants to go. I'm pretty sure he's going to see. And he's quite small. He might look quite big on screen, but if I'm looking at him size-wise, I'd say about 10 centimeters long. About 10 to 10 centimeters long, about 8 centimeters wide. So not that large, quite a small one. Shall we see where he's going to head off to now? As you can see, he doesn't need to worry about shelter. Anything happens, he can just pull his legs and... Oh yes, Louis says badly behaved tortoise going down and no entry. Fortunately, no traffic cops to stop him there, Louise. As I said, I must get him some glasses. I think he's quite old. So, as I said, he doesn't need to worry about shelter. He can just put his head and put his legs in. The wind is really picking up now. Let's see if James can zoom in on the front left leg, but we're on the wrong side, unfortunately. Can't see that. I think it's just the way he's walking. I didn't see anything. Yes, Louise, he's going to vandalize the sign. Maybe he's just found something better to eat on that side. Or it's getting very windy and he's thinking, oh my goodness, let me see if I can find some shelter. Because it is rather windy and cold. So I'm pretty sure that he's also feeling the cold as we do. You can see the sky is not letting up. Let me drive forward and see if we can find him there. Let's see where he's gone off to hide. There. Oops, okay, let me just reverse so James can get a shot. Is it okay? Alright, so there we found him. Here he is. Oh, wanting to take a bit of a bite. I knew that was what he wanted to do. Find something to eat. James, how do the two tortoise species avoid competing with one another? They don't eat the same food, James. So they don't really compete with one another. Just want to see. I just want to have a look. Then you'll see it's eating some grass there. And they've got quite sharp, pointy mouths so that they can cut through that grass very easily. Diana's wanting to know, do tortoises have knees? Diana, if you look carefully where the legs curve there, so you could say the knee is just where it's bent. And even at the back, their back hind legs, you'll see when they're walking, sometimes they look like they're pushing. When they're pushing, it bends slightly, and that's really where their knees would be. And you'll see they've got small, tiny little sort of claw-like features on the legs just to help them when they're walking along, to push along and to protect them. Isn't that gorgeous? Just enjoying, munching away. Okay, that one was not good enough. Now going to look for something better. Oops. Got frightened by the wind there. A sudden gust of wind came through. Let's see. Mark, if I had to tell you what age, I might be way off the line, as I'm not actually really very good at aging tortoises, but I had to take a guess. This is a difficult one. You actually have to look at the shell and look at the scales to be able to guess what age they are. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure, Mark. Got a bit of sand on the mouth there. It's gone behind the no entry. So we're going to see if we can move a little bit to see if we can get some more of the tortoise. Let me just reverse a bit. Okay. It looks like he's just on his way, just trying to see what other things he can eat along the way. It's going to turn off. Quite enjoying watching the little fella. Just love the way they move with such patience. No rush in the world. Fahrenheit, as far as I'm aware, they don't carry any diseases. Yeah. That's really all I know about that. Oh, look, he's struggling now. There's a branch that's in the way. He's struggling to get through. Now we can't see where he's going. So he's just going through. He might just lie there for a while. And I'm going to actually move on from the tortoise and see if we can find any other interesting little creatures away. And while I do that, let us go back to Jamie.
Okay, so we did our very best to try set up the tent, only to discover that all of the cables that plug into the various sections that allow us to power the tent and get the feed through and everything, all of the cables were lying in a puddle of water and had clearly been for a day or two because they were slimy and covered with algae.
Oh wow.
Seb says, oh wow. So it's all gone very well. Here comes our Gowrie repeater trying to fix that. We are currently pretending to be a pirate ship. In fact, I think if we put ourselves in neutral and put ourselves in the right direction, we could probably sail. There's Marcel and Conradi. Morning. Sorry. I hear you. They've had a wonderful morning as well. Okay, so we're going to do yet another loop and see what we can find. I see that Jackie's a lot braver than I've been. I went past her now and she had the front flaps open. She's going to be very damp. Where should we go, Seb? Let's go this way. Maybe Hassan is lying on this road somewhere looking miserable. Oh, there was someone behind me. My bad. Oh, that'll make his day. Was he in a closed car?
No, open car.
Open car. Okay, so he's also... Ah!
Oh.
We're blowing away! What's going on? I can't not drive into the wind because there won't be signal.
I'm so scared of those bungees.
I'm also... Yo!
That bungee flips me off.
My hat's gone, my hat mic's gone, it's pulled out. Hold on. Alright, Seb's afraid of the bungees, so what we're going to do, and he's entirely correct. If one of the bungees...
Shall we show them?
Yeah, we can show them.
Snaps.
If this snaps, we are in so much trouble. I'm trying to hold the one side in, but then that makes me at even more risk. Because then it's the other side that's going to go. Do. I see a cable tie there. Might not be a bad idea. Yeah. Alright, well you get to see the behind the scenes. I don't even know if this qualifies as behind the scenes. My hands are so fiddly. Ah! My fingers aren't working. This might once have been considered behind the scenes. It is no longer. This is just SafariLive. Welcome. Come rain or shine, but not snow, because otherwise that means something apocalyptic is going on. Seb's trying to help me. I'm sorry, I'm so fiddly.
No, it's okay.
You got that one?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, okay.
Now we need to release this.
Got it. I caught it. I'm safe. So there's a second one there. This is going to be very tricky.
Alright, almost there. Okay.
Stay tuned, folks. It only gets better from here.
Alright.
Well, that's it. Thanks. Yes, I got to do this one for this side.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even know these cable ties were here. If I'd known that, I wouldn't have bungeed it. Oh, I'm pulling the wrong way. That's Seb's shoulder, everyone. Seb, of course, used to be a Wild Earth presenter. Thank you, Seb. Moving up in the world. What did you do today? Well... Okay, can I get it through these? Yes, I can. No, don't you dare snap on me. Don't you dare. My hands are so slippy. No. No. There's some ominous creaking sounds. I'm not sure if it's me or the car. How can I be this useless? Oh, this is the stuff that primetime TV's made of, folks.
Mommy!
No, it's fine, it's fine. Don't stress, Lou. I'm all good if you're good. I mean, I know it's not the best presenting we've ever done. What is wrong with this cable tie? No, I think it's me.
I didn't break it, did I?
No, you didn't break it. It's me. I'm broken. Not you. It's fighting the wind. There we go. Okay. Good luck to the next person to open this. It'll be Brent. He will pay. He will his innocent fault of not being at work this morning. Okay. We're all good. I mean, you know. Should we try this again? Where would you like to sail to? Alright. How's this doing? Yep, that's dry. We're all good there. Monitor's all dry. I don't count. I'm waterproof. Neither does Seb. He's also waterproof.
No bungee.
No bungee that's going to snap and take out an eye.
Exactly.
Just, it was a bit dangerous, actually.
It was.
I thought I was being clever when I came up with that, but I don't think I was.
You still got one remaining, though.
We do still have one risky one remaining, but I'm hoping... I don't know what I'm hoping. At this point, I'm just hoping. I'm hoping for anything. Osana! Please! Come save us. Whoops. You cannot imagine my sheer disappointment of getting to the tent and discovering wet, slimy cables. I think the only person whose disappointment is going to match my own is that of the tech team when they see the disaster. Oh man, oh no. Somebody's head's gonna roll. Might be mine. Well, at least the frogs will be happy. I don't even know where those lines went. I've given up. I'm starting to think I just imagined them. I know I didn't, but at this point, this morning it was us and Cheetah Plains out, and they've gone home. So it's just us battling the elements. It is a bit funny. It's a lot funny, actually, especially because Jackie and I have to go round and round quarantine. Okay, forget the Impala lambs. Please knit and send us. Yes, send us questions. Send us anything. Give us something to talk about. Please. #SafariLive on Twitter or in the comments section of the YouTube chat.
Or WhatsApp or anything.
Or WhatsApp or iMessage, whatever. Bravo to Gigi across the Mara. We take our hats off to you, or if they don't get blown off, that's our intention. He's got some buffalo. Let's go across to him.
Very good, Jamie. And the Mara will always be exciting because these two boys here initially were having a friendly fight, a friendly spout, see? But now they seem to be having some bad blood between them, and they seem to be going for each other. And they just had a little commercial break. Let's see what will happen now. These ones are fully grown, they are adults, and should they decide to go for each other, this should be a true fight and not just having a friendly fight or sparring. So one seemed to be chickening out and has been moving, and the one behind has been following him for about 10 minutes. And every time they put their heads down, they're digging the ground, and one would back up, then the other one would come. They would lock the horns, then back up again. Now try these seem a little different colors. I think the one on the right could be a little bit younger than the one on the left. The one on the left is a little darker, and I'm imagining he's much older, because as they age, they get darker. Sometimes I say as they age, they also get more grumpy. I think now they have decided to keep their peace. So no more fights now. And whatever the difference would have been, yeah, the one on the right, or now the one on the left, the one is much lighter, little brownish in color. I think it's much younger than the one on the right. That's the gully, or the small little valley they were having a little go for each other. And I think it could be over now. Alright, very well done for the buffaloes this morning. It's time to move and look for other species of animals. Haven't been lucky to see any lions as yet. I need to get out of my four-wheel drive. Low ratio and go to the normal high ratio. Land Rovers are very good when you do high ratio because they are much lighter, unlike a Land Cruiser. And the Land Rover bodies are more made of aluminium. Brian, how fast can a buffalo run? I would say a buffalo do about 50 kilometers an hour, Brian. 50 kilometers an hour, and they are fast. You don't take any chances with them. They may gallop like that and that, which at that gives them, hello there, gives them more speed. So you don't want to take any chances thinking they're big animals and they are slow. They're very fast animals and they can easily catch up with you. Slightly bit maybe faster than Ellis. So saying a Land Rover's body is made of, I would say, aluminium in terms of the body parts, and especially the doors and the hood area, the back area. But I think a Land Cruiser is more of steel, and it's a lot easier like this time around to get a Land Cruiser getting stuck in the black cotton soil, unlike a Land Rover, which is much lighter. And we have noticed out of experience, you can see how I'm driving here, going left and right because of the mud. We have noticed it's easier for Land Cruiser to get stuck and more difficult to get it out of the water when it gets stuck. But a Land Rover, even if we'll get stuck, it's easy for strong men like me and Archie and a few more people just to give it a small little push and you're out of the mud. A Land Cruiser, you get stuck. If you don't have a winch, maybe out there, it becomes very difficult. But also, apart from having a winch in the front, you also need a huge tree, maybe like that one there, because if you don't have a tree, you don't have anything to anchor yourself on. But also, a strong tree, not just a tree for the sake of a tree, because sometimes if you get a weak tree, it's very easy to bring it out. I'll be looking for some birds, but I think Jamie might have spotted a beautiful bird.
I've got a barbet that looks absolutely happy with life, and I mean that 100% seriously. I think that it's been enjoying catching the drowned alates, not so much catching as just picking up drowned alates off the surface of the soil. He's going to come back in a second. He's hidden behind there. I can't reposition because if I do, Seb will have to film through the rain cover, which would be next to impossible. Come back, you horrible little bird. There you are. Perfect. That is a crested barbet, and like most of the birds out here, it is reveling in this weather. As Jackie has shown you, there's lots out to eat, lots to do, and even if it was a bit miserable a moment ago, the rain actually appears to have stopped almost completely, which is good news for us. It means that we can roll up our rain covers shortly. Guess what we're going to do? We're going to go and check the hyena den out of sheer desperation. My hands have gone all pruny. Oh, wait, I just want to see what this barbet is eating. Oh, crunch goes Rusty. Seb, can you see him? Can you get him from where I've put you? Hold on. I can also hear a cuckoo calling. Oh, he was there. Oh, he's to the right of the dung. There. Bit more to the right. There. There he is. Oh, giving Seb a challenge now. Just in case it wasn't enough that he's soaked. Now he's got to try and follow a barbet.
But he's somewhere on the branch.
You've got him. Yeah, you've got him. Well done. Oh, no, he's gone. All right, we're done. We're done, barbet. We see how it is. Many years ago, my mum tried to rescue one from a swimming pool from our house in Johannesburg when I was still quite young. She reached down to pick it up out of the pool where it had fallen in. It was stuck. And as she put her hand around it, it sliced a massive chunk off her finger to the point she almost needed stitches. She didn't in the end, but we really seriously thought she was going to. They've got, those beaks are very, very sharp, very powerful. I think it was a crested, yeah, it was a crested barbet. I did that once with a baby minor bird. Indian minor birds are an invasive species that's been introduced to South Africa and they've spread. So it's basically a type of starling, but they have proved to be immensely successful birds. And for about a year after I rescued that baby minor out of the pool, the parents chased me around the house. Every time I walked out of the front door to get into the car, no matter what I did, if I went outside to play in the garden, the minor birds chased me. They remembered, and they bore a grudge, obviously not realizing that I'd saved their baby and wasn't actually attacking it. Not my parents, not my brother, me. Took great offense to that. Please, hyenas, please, please. So late in the morning, I know it's such a long shot. But everyone knows that it has to be 1,000,000 in one shot for something to work. Okay, well this was obviously a 1 in 999,000 because it didn't work. It was a brave attempt though. Let's go around the other side just in case I'm mistaken. Okay, as we loop around the empty hyena den, Trish and Jackie have switched around. Trish would like to say hello and show you a beautiful flower.
Yes, hello, and good morning. It is my turn to brave this horrendous weather. If there's one thing about Trishala you should know, she does not like the cold. I will happily do well in 35 degrees Celsius weather, and that is perfect for me. Anything less than that and you'll still find goose pimples on me, even up to now. Firstly, I must apologize. Got my glasses on, so if it's slightly reflective, it's because I've had I was a bit of a one-eyed monster this morning. I lost a contact lens. So I've decided to go with the glasses so at least I can show you something. But what I have found for you is a morning glory. And you may recognize it from your very own gardens. Now, I'm not sure exactly which species it is, but the genus is Hippomea. And if you guys know what species it is or want to has a guess, you can use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, or of course use the YouTube chat stream. Now, what I do find really interesting about these flowers is you can see the little lines that are coming off the petals. And those are actually guides. And they will reflect UV light from the sun, obviously, when there is a bit more sun out. And that is what insects will see. Now, we know that plants or flowers are pollinated by insects and birds most of the time, even bats sometimes. And that these animals will be able to see the UV light to guide them to the flowers, and obviously both of them benefit. The insect will get a tasty nectar to eat, and the flower will get pollinated. Isn't that pretty? A bit of a spurt of color amongst the browns and greens of the bushveld. I think it's quite pretty. So, I have heard that you are requesting to see the dams and how they look. All full. I can barely fit. Well, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a drive up, maybe go past a few dams and see what they look like. But while I do that, let's go to David in the Mara.
Well, yeah, any water pond in Juma this time could be very healthy in the sense that chances are you might get some animals there. We have always said water is life, and me and Archie here are just trying to make our way up and out in this very muddy road because of the rains we had last night. Initially I thought things were getting better, but I think the clouds have started to build again, and most likely we might have rains very early today. What I want Archie to do, I request him just to pan and show us the very thick cloud from the left to the right, because to the left we have very thick rain clouds, building up, and then we still got some mist to the right. But let's start. Look at those clouds. It's barely what we're talking of. It's 10 minutes past 8 o'clock here in Kenya. And just look at those thick clouds there. Now, this time around, we usually have what we call the short rains. In Kenya, we have like summer all around there, yeah? And the summer is broken by two rainfall seasons. The long rains, March, April, May, sometimes towards June. And the short rains that should have come around October, they did not come. So they came towards the end of November, and we have them now. Well, they may go until Christmas. But what I'm thinking, it might be a replica of the long rains we had early in the middle of the year, which were huge and heavy. It rained the whole of last night. Anybody who could be joining us now. And now you can see the mist is back again. And earlier I had requested for a tweet, a one-word tweet on the beauty of that mist that you see there. Hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. And I think I had gotten mysterious. And I had gotten a ghost. Yes, I had got a mysterious. Paula had given me one, and also got a one word that was like a ghost. And it reminded me the ghost in the darkness. Here could be the ghost in the mist. And what you see there is the Olololo escarpment that we'll always see every day we are out on a drive. But now it's all covered by the mist. Our camp is not very far from that ridge or from the top of the escarpment, and we'll always see it when you're out here on the drive. But now we are seeing zero camp, and you hope the folks that are left back there, especially the chef Joel, who makes some very good food, can see where the ingredients are. Otherwise, when you go back to camp, you'll have nothing to eat. We earlier had the lights on in the kitchen when we were having some coffee before leaving, or tea, but it was still very misty around the camp. Not sure these have made the lions not come out, but hopefully they should, because where we are, we're at the very base of the Mara triangle. This particular area, we should be able to see something. Michelle, great, Yuri, that's a great comment. Thank you very much, Michelle, and good to hear your voice. Don't go very far, Michelle, because you want us to keep enjoying this. And let's move on. You need to go now just because of the mud. So when you stop and it gets a little boggy, it becomes difficult for Parker to go. Okay, Parker has finally agreed to go. Again, I'm talking of the black cotton soil that makes it very sticky when you stop. Sometimes you've always said, if you go in a tricky area, keep driving. Anne-Marie, how are you? And you're asking whether I've seen the bat-eared fox. I passed by, or I swung in the den this morning, and they were not there. And Anne-Marie, I want to tell you, my only thinking is, it's because of the rain. What I might do is this afternoon, if it warms up and doesn't rain, I am going to swing by the den and find out if they could be there. But yeah, we discovered a very nice den for them. And luckily, Anna-Marie, I don't see this bat-eared fox relocating. They might want to remain there for quite some time because the days that are good and the weather is fine, every one time we have gone there, we have seen them. All right. I'll keep finding out what I may be able to see, but let's go back to South Africa to Jamie Patterson.
You know those days where you just give up? You just give up and you just face plant on the ground? I don't know quite what's going on with this tortoise, but I think that's what's just happened. I think she's drinking. I think that's what's happening. I think she's drinking. But I mean, it really, when we first saw her, it looked as though she had just given up. What are you doing, tortoise? You can just see movement around the top of her head and her neck. I think she must be drinking. It just looks so utterly peculiar. Because we can't see her face, obviously hidden behind a stick. And that's presumably a little rivulet that is flowing into the big pan of water that's in front of her. Well, I'm saying she. I don't actually know if it's a male or a female, but whatever it is, this tortoise looks like it's given up. Done. Done for the day. I think it is drinking, which makes it all worthwhile. Lou says that tortoise is her current spirit animal. I hear you, Lou. I hear you. It's been one of those mornings. It's been quite a fun morning. It's been entertaining, I suppose, in its own way. She must be really thirsty. I actually thought there was something wrong with her for a second. Seb said she looked as though she'd just fallen asleep like this. She kind of did. I really want to go and investigate, but I don't want to disturb her if she's drinking. Alright, I'm going to sit and watch our tortoise for a little bit longer just to see if we can figure out what's going on. All sorts of creatures are appearing out of or after the rain, including, of course, the liant Jan snails.
We're trying desperately to keep up with this guy. James can't do it. Oh my god. We need to go in slow-mo. He's staying very still for us. We have a giant land snail. Something that Jamie's Speaks Hinge tortoise would love to get their hands on. Oh, did you hear us? Hello. Very sweet little creature. Now, it's nice to stop at him because, or actually him, her, as I will explain. It's very unlikely that he will get out of the shot unless a nice bird comes and swoops down and get a nice meal. But I called him a him, her, or it a him, her, because they are, of course, hermaphroditic. So that means that they can engage to be female or male, depending on the conditions that are around them. So let's think about this. Things that move slowly are going to find it really hard to find a partner. Especially if they're moving, they're going to have to move long distances and they want to breed often, and this is very unlikely if you are a slow-moving creature. So this is why they've developed the ability to be hermaphroditic. And this means that they are able, obviously, to go between being female, per se, and male. And the way this happens is that if one land snail sees another and it gets overjoyed because finally there's somebody else like it around, and then imagine if it's female and it finds that the other one's female and now it can't reproduce. How disappointing is that? So that's why they've developed in this way. And, oh, is he eating something? Oh, sorry, I'll get back to that in a minute. I just think this is very, very sweet. So they will normally eat detritus and rotting organic material, which this is actually perfect for because it's all become damp and soggy. So it's easy for them to conveyor belt into their mouth with their radula. Very cool. So, we were getting to the hot topic here of sex in snails. So the one snail will say to the other, or rather see the other, and be totally excited that it has found a mate. And then it can, obviously because they're male and female, it doesn't matter what they find as long as it looks just like them. So they will shoot out a love dart, which I think is very, very interesting. And this will secure them to each other. You know, it also makes you wonder why on earth they need to do that considering they move so slowly. Yes, very much like a Cupid's arrow. I want you, and I'm shooting my kite and arrow at you. And then what they will do is they will exchange sperm. And what that really means is that they're going to exchange some genetic material and then store it in sacs within themselves. This means that at any point later on, maybe when conditions are more favorable, it can remove sperm from that sac and fertilize itself. This creates genetic variability, obviously, instead of self-fertilization where you're getting the exact same replica of the adult. I think they're pretty cool. Another thing that would quite like to eat these snails, my friend David has got a lovely, and one of my favorite birds actually, a ground hornbill in the Mara.
Yes, it's very true, Trish. The ground hornbills do eat, the snails. They also eat tortoises. There's one that is in that bush of grass there, and she's just hiding. I don't know why she doesn't want to come out. Either there she comes out. Very good. These hornbills got very strong beaks, as Trish might have said, and they have also been known even to break the shells of tortoises. Their beaks are like a chisel, and they can break the chisel, the shell, and get the flesh from the tortoise. Come out. Or should you prefer move forward a little bit? Let me move forward, Archie, and see whether they can see her. I don't know where she's hiding. There are two of them, and Archie will tell me whether you prefer the one that's hiding or that one there. So let's see which one could be. Although it is the two of them, so I'm going to give you an angle where you're going to choose the one you want. So let me see from there. So you got two of those ground hornbills. In fact, three of them. You got that one there, and those two there. So you have a choice. Hopefully, you're not spoiled of choice, Archie. They're called ground hornbills because they spend most of their time foraging for food on the ground. And on the IUCN, listing, they are like a bit on red alert because they have been losing so much of their habitat the last, I would say, 10-15 years. MGN, how are you? Good to hear your name. I agree with you. They must be the toughest. I want to say they're also the strongest of all the hornbills. If you look at size of all the hornbills MGN that we got in Africa, not sure about the whole world, but in Africa, they are the largest. And look on the massive big MGN there that he got. And I'm saying a he because he got all red wattle on the face and under the neck. If it was a female, it would have been broken by a little bit of a blue tinge or blue color at one point between the eyes and the wat on the neck. That's what the female will have, but the males have all red. And definitely digging himself something there too. Did you catch something? Yes, he did, and just swallowed it straight. So that big, as I said earlier, just like a chisel. And if you look carefully, there's a bit of white feather there. And in flight, you'll see some beautiful white windows. What are you looking for there? Sharks they'll be looking for. Snails, they'll dig them out and just crush, their shells like biscuits. And if they'll need to poke anything using their strong beaks, it's very easy for them. So a bit of a concern, as I said, in certain African countries where logging has been going on. Trevor, how much do they grow? I would say like the one you have there, that's an adult. And I would give it a height of about 2 feet max from the toe to the head, 1.5 feet to about 2. That's a fully grown one, Trevor. They do fly as much as they look like very heavy birds. They do fly, and after the end of the day, because they spend most of the time on the day on the ground, as I said earlier, they'll tend to patch up on trees, where they'll also roost, and they'll have their nest and eggs. But now, as I said, if they would have, say, their nest inside or holes or big crevices on certain big, large trees, the problem now in certain areas of Africa or countries is where people are logging these trees either for building or for construction of some kind. Did you get a snake? Yes, it is a snake there, Archie. You need to kill it. Do not traumatize it. Oops, got a reptile there, and do you want to kill it fast or do you want to take it whole? Oops, and you got some birds. Either they want to share in it. Yeah, those lapwings, not sure they want to save the snake or what they want to do. Very good spotting. I think what he's doing, he's first want to kill it before swallowing it. And what is this one having? Now, these are called watered starlings, and they know the ground hornbills will come for their chicks and will also come for their eggs. Now, the watered starlings nest on the ground, and what they're doing, they're just getting irritated. Yeah, irritated by these hornbills, and they want them out because they know once they find their eggs or their chicks, they are gone. Remember, nice people, any questions, any comment, please send them through #SafariLive on Twitter, or you can keep following us on the YouTube chat stream. Let me just listen to that wattle, that starling, or rather that lapwing. I hope you can hear all her irritation. Well, they've moved on. I want just to back up a little bit because these hornbills have not gone anywhere, and what's the ground hornbill's wingspan? It could be anything up to 3 feet. They are huge. They are huge birds, and of course, because of their weight and size, they need a huge wingspan to be able to fly. Don't want to stop. Keep coming. Very good. All right. Yeah, they got a huge wingspan, more because they need that kind of wingspan to be able to lift their bodies off the ground, and you can tell they look huge. You haven't killed that snake. You should have swallowed it by now. Not sure what type of snake he got for himself, but how exciting is this, eh? Either you want to share it with someone or you're waiting for it to die. I think as far as I'm concerned, it's dead by now. I don't see any body movement on it. But the question is, why are you not swallowing it out? Unless you want to go share it with the female? I don't know. Or with one of the youngster. You see, the one to the left there doesn't have the red wattle. That means it's a young one. Or you go into the dining room to enjoy it. So once they get a little older is when the wattles develop, and you could see the red, especially with the male. and the females would be red and a bit of blue in it. So definitely this is a young one. What do you want to do? Oh, it's not dead. Oh, that's the reason why I would say he hasn't swallowed it. Either he doesn't want it to wriggle in his tummy, but I think what he wants to do is to hold it there until he is guaranteed it's dead. As far as I'm concerned, I initially thought it's dead, but it's not. It's still moving, eh? Are you guys getting yourself snakes, or what are you getting? Digging snails from the ground? And of course, their long beaks give them the advantage to go really under the ground as much as they can. But unlike certain other birds that will always feel or see what they want to, these ones have just to dig down. Sometimes they just chance if they say anything, not 100% sure. All right, it's time now to kill. Okay, it's not the one that have the snake. So just digging to get some worms sometimes. Dig. What I do not know is when they dig, do they dig when they are sure there's something under the ground, or they just chance? Chances are they know, because he got something. Oops, it's the one that had the snake. Come on, you need to kill it quickly. You are putting it into a lot of trouble. Either let it go, or just let it die and kill it. The snake is trying either to fight for her life, because it's just wriggling herself around the beak of this hornbill, but I don't think a hornbill is ready to let his meal go. Could have been hard-earned. He did very well either to get it fast, spot it, kill it. I'm not sure whether they had a fight before he got it. I've always seen small little fights between certain animals, for example, mongooses and snakes. But I think for hornbills and for secretary birds, I think they use their feet very quickly to subdue them. Yeah, you need to either let it go or just squeeze the head and kill it. And maybe he's also being careful not to get the venom, if it could be a venomous snake, in his eyes. I mean, these birds are clever. They don't want to take any chances. Excuse me, but I'm sure they also know if they swallow, the whole snake should be fine. Say that again, Lou. Liz, the final control, says maybe he is looking for a pet and take it to the youngsters. Who knows? Or maybe take it to the young ones and train them how to kill snakes. But I think it has taken rather long for this one to die, which I think is not very fair to the snake either. I'm not sure, Hornbill, I'm liking you now, because you see, if you look at that snake, it's trying to round, her body around the beak, and maybe either asking for mercy, or like let me go, or either kill me quickly and just swallow me, or not sure exactly what this hornbill want to do. I have seen certain birds, males, once they have killed something, they'll always try and take it to a female. This is not the case here. Well, let me just do one more turn and have one more quick look at this hornbill, because this is becoming quite exciting, and find out at what point he is going to either let the snake go or just swallow it. And as I said earlier, they've got a mechanism in their bodies where even after eating or swallowing some venomous snakes, be it a black mamba, they're able just to digest it. And in general, we say, so long as you don't chew the venom and you swallow even a poisonous snake, you'll be fine. But the challenge comes if you have to break it down. That's when it would affect you. Or when you get the venom being spat on you, like for example, from the cobras, spitting cobras, or some other venomous snakes. This is, oops, quite exciting. Now, Parker, stay on the road. I want you to stay like this. Now, these two here to my left have nothing, and I think now, Sally didn't get your question very well there, but I'm getting very close now to the one that have the snake. Luke, bring me that question again, and this is the guy that has the snake. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to find out what's very good, Sally, you got your question. What will happen is, apart from snakes, they also go for other reptiles. They'll go for skinks, they'll go for lizards, they'll go for chameleons, anything they can catch. These birds have been known to go for any reptile, Sally, that they might get. Now, Sally, we have brought you very close to the reptile here that we think is slowly dying. And as I said, they could also get other reptiles like lizards, like chameleons, skinks, all those other reptiles you might think of. Now, don't play games with us. We have followed you and we would want to know exactly what you want to do with this snake. And what I'll do, I'll just back up a little bit, get my low ratio there. Why you do not want to eat that snake, I do not know. You're subduing it to a lot of pain because I don't think it's dead as yet. Okay, actually seeing it on the other side. Let me see. Back up that way and then move forward. The youngster is still following that, and he doesn't seem to want to share his meal with anybody. I think he did all the good job. What do you think that's good, Archie? Okay. How is that? Now we have repositioned and you got a very good place. This snake is still alive. And Hornbill, I'm requesting you to do what you need to do and don't put it to suffering. Where it's holding it, my guess is it's holding the head and it knows that's where all the energy or all the venom might come from. If it's spitting snake, it might spit some venom to his eyes. He's making sure that does not happen. And look at the open space on the beak there, which helps them to crush anything they catch. And I've been trying to look at this snake, and I have no idea what it could be. My guess is, and it's a very wild guess, this could be a black mamba. That's my guess. And you can see she's not dead yet. She's still trying to move. Black mambas are always a bit grayish in color, and you call them black mambas because the black is always on or in their mouth and not on the body. I'm just having a wild guess. If anybody out there would be able to identify it and help me, know who this snake is, I would be more than happy. But my guess is a young black mamba. Very poisonous snakes, and most of the mambas are neurotoxin here in Africa. Once they bite you, the venom will get into your nervous system. What are you doing? Either you're having a break because you can't keep holding it for long, and now it's just getting it, crushing it and shaking its body, and you can see the head of that snake. And I'm not sure there's a lot of more energy left on the head part of it, or those muscles have really been weakened, but the main part of the body coming towards the tail is still pretty active and still very alive. I would guess if this was a secretary bird, she would have, finished with the snake long time ago, because either they give them few little kicks and just swallow them alive. Either the hornbill is a bit cautious here, don't want to take any chances. It might have to wait until she's completely dead. I'm not sure I want to be the snake, neither would I want to be the hornbill. So you're saying this hornbill is trying or is planning to make some spaghetti for dinner. It's very possible. Then what this hornbill will need to do is to get a few more snakes. To get some nice meal. When it comes to spaghetti, you need a bit, maybe more, 6, 7 more snakes like this. Hopefully you'll get some. You have struggled with this one particular one. By the time you get 4 or 5 strands to make some nice spaghetti, it might take you the whole day, because they've taken you more than half an hour to kill this one. Hornbill, you need to do something, and you don't want to traumatize that snake for all these time. You're good looking, you look strong, but not sure the, what do you call it, the pressure or the strength, which is called PDI, to crush or to got the right muscles of the beak just to crush it dead. Unlike other animals that could easily crush it. Now see what he's trying to do is just to frustrate the snake in and out. You need to swallow it, it's still not dead. Oh no. So as I requested you, should anybody be able to identify or help me know who this snake is, I'd be happy. My wild guess was a black mamba. I could be wrong, because it looks a bit greyish to me, and the black mambas in general are greyish in color. Or where are you taking to eat it? I think he has spent so much energy. He has spent so much energy walking with it, and you should have enjoyed your meal by now. And I'm not sure it got very strong big muscles just to crush it and eat it, as some crocodiles should be. I'm thinking maybe the neck muscles, or the beak muscles rather, are not very strong just to kill it, because if he'll be able just to crush it, like how they crush, you know, little beetles or snails when they look for them, it would have removed or reduced the pain or the suffering on this snake here. Keeps walking, and I would say if it was a vulture, for example, the Egyptian vulture, where they have been known to pick certain eggs and drop them on rocks and kill them, it should learn something from, be careful, your snake will go, your meal will go if you're not careful. Oops, did you swallow it now? Why did it take you so long? Or do you still have it, or did you get something different? 1 minute, we'll have to find out. Oh no, it took a side meal maybe, dropped the snake, picked something else and swallowed. This is becoming interesting. I was talking of the Egyptian vultures, which I've always known they love to pick eggs and fly high with them, drop them on rocks, and just, you know, open them up, crush them and eat them. And this one has taken rather long to do that. And talking of the Egyptian vultures, not sure whether Jamie could be having a vulture.
I can't believe this hornbill sighting that David's been having across in the Mara. Shame, man. I wish it would just, you know, be merciful to the poor snake, but that's not how their minds work. It's not fair to impute human morals on them. Still quite horrible to watch, though, in a way. Right, we have an absolutely soaking white-backed vulture. You can see how waterlogged its feathers are. Up until recently, it's been hunched over, looking thoroughly miserable. It's now decided to brave the cold and open up its wings so that the breeze can actually start to dry out those feathers. And I think that it's soaked, although birds, of course, do have preen oil that's so closely barbed together that they are largely waterproof, at least the primary feathers or the outer layer of feathers. But there's only so much rain they can take. And in this case, I think that the rain has managed to soak all the way down to the sort of underdown of this poor vulture. And I suppose it applies to all birds. And this thing has got no choice but to just sit there until it dries out. It could still fly if it had to, but it would not be a very graceful flight. It would have to flap very heavily, which of course is exhausting for a bird the size of a vulture. So really it's just got to sit and wait it out and wait for temperatures to heat up a little bit. Seb apparently, he's been checking out the weather. He said that it's predicted to continue to rain throughout the day. I thought we were done. I thought it was over now. But we'll have to just wait and see. I'm sure the vulture would be glad of a little bit of sunlight to help to complete the drying out process. When we first stopped here, there was a Wahlberg's eagle next to the vulture, and it was fascinating to look at the size difference. You don't often see birds of prey. You see different species of vulture next to each other, but you don't often see get a good size comparison between the different birds of prey. And I imagine that for those of you who've never had any sort of, or don't have any frame of reference except, shame, except for the view through the eyes of the camera, it might be very difficult to get a sense of scale. This vulture is enormous. If I were to, I mean, if it would run up to me, it would be up to sort of, its head would reach up to my knee. And if it were to stretch its head right up, it could reach even higher than that. And if it were to open its wings from the, if I were to hold my arms out from the tip of my finger to the other side, it still wouldn't match up to the wingspan of this vulture. So they're big birds. And it was just interesting to see the Wahlbergs next to it, the Wahlberg's eagle, because it was around about a third of the size. Would you say that was fair, Seb? Yeah, about a third of the size. It was ridiculously tiny in comparison. As Seb said, next to the vulture, it looks a little bit like a dove. And I mean, that's an eagle. It is admittedly the smallest eagle species that we see here. But it's nevertheless, it's still an eagle. And it looked puny in comparison. I wish it was still here. I think it decided it would be better off on a slightly less exposed tree, somewhere where it might be a bit more sheltered. Dorothy wants to know if anyone has a hairdryer. I imagine that there's quite a few animals that wouldn't mind a little bit of a hairdryer effect. The wind is not exactly pleasant. It's not nice and warm in the same way a hairdryer is. I imagine if we took a hairdryer to those impala that we saw earlier, to the little lambs, and we just gave them a thorough, of course they'd be terrified, but I mean in this fantasy existence, imagine if we went and just dried out their little coats with a hairdryer. They'd be all fluffy and clean and adorable. Yeah, give them a little brush. I don't own a hairdryer, unfortunately. Seb?
No, definitely not.
No, definitely not. Lou? Nope, no hairdryer. Okay, we're done for. Lou doesn't have one. I don't have one. Seb does not have one.
Maybe Brent.
Maybe Brent. He does have a full head of hair. Ah, Jerry, of course. Jerry! Jerry! We need to borrow your hairdryer. Why? Well, there's a few really cold, wet animals outside waiting for their turn to be dried off. And we've run out of towels. Lou's pointed out we might need quite a long extension cable. Well, we've got a few. We could plug them all together. That's not a fire hazard. Is it? Not at all. What could go wrong? I mean, we've already got slimy algae-covered cables in the tent. I wonder what a vulture would look like if you blow-dried it, because all the downy feathers would be all poofy. I mean, the normal feathers, the outside feathers, wouldn't go poofy because they're all protected by each little part of the feather is barbed. Oh, man. Lou, that's a very good point. The smell. Woof. Woof. Okay, fair. No, maybe not. Maybe blow-drying for little impala lambs only. And a nyala, if we can find one. A nyala would be even fluffier. Imagine if we got hold of a male nyala and gave it a thoroughly good hairdressing session. Whoa! The vulture took offense to that. Okay, well, I mean, that was a welcome distraction from the current snake torturing that is continuing in the Mara. Let's pop across to David, and I think we're all hoping at this point that that poor snake is no longer with us.
Well, let's talk of snakes here, Jimmy, or big bars, vultures, hornbills, but I've been very confused by this particular ground hornbill because he has intentionally made this snake suffer. Either he doesn't have the right technique to subdue it very quickly and eat it, Oh, what is the reason? I'm trying to think. Maybe I'll be asking Jamie or Trish, but anybody who ever seen a ground hornbill hold a snake for this long. We know they eat snakes. I mean, they eat all sorts of reptiles out here. But I would not be able to explain why he has taken so long not to swallow it, because they'll always swallow them whole. Sometimes when they get a little bit or a lizard, it's always a quick crush with the strong beaks and they just swallow them. But this particular one, or did you want to go and hide, by that termite mound and feed? Maybe, who knows? Where are you now? You need to come out. He has gone so close to some thickets and some bush there. Do you still have it? We can see you now. Yeah, I mean, and I would agree with some of the viewers. Maybe he doesn't want to eat it. But again, why have it? To me, I would say let it go. Because you have dropped her a few times. And I saw her on 2 occasions getting some other kind of food. I see no reason why you should not have eaten it by now. There were about a flock of about 6 of them, of these ground hornbills. Tranquilus maybe playing with it. It could be. We have occasionally once in a while seen, for example, cats, cheetahs or lions or leopards when they're young, playing with some small little pets and not even killing them. I mean, not pets per se, youngsters of antelopes. This could have been one of those cases, but I doubt, because to me, a snake should be making a very good meal for this particular ground hornbill. And as he disappeared in the grasses, in the bushes there, we're gonna leave him, and hopefully something would happen between that snake and that ground hornbill. Either eat it, or to me, let it go. And if we're just playing with it, because on 2 occasions, Tom, as you were saying, I saw him drop it down, picked some different food, and I think there was a snail, ate the snail, and then grabbed the snake. And I haven't seen him actually pushing or trying to crush or to smash that snake. So it's a possibility maybe he's just playing with it. Who knows? Well, I think to me that has been a highlight. It has made my morning, because I'm going to go ponder or do a bit of research and find out, do hornbills play with snakes instead of eating them? It's a difficult meal to check. And that's a good suggestion, maybe. He could be looking for his partner to share the meal. It's possible. I have seen gorilla mountains in a country called Rwanda, some country west of Kenya, where the males have gone out hunting and they would catch small little animals like scrub hares, or small rabbits. And the male would hunt, catch a scrub hare or a rabbit, will not eat it, will not even touch it, and will not even kill it, just hold it, and the gorilla would walk, would follow it slowly, as when you do gorilla trekking, you'll always out of the car, and you walk with game rangers until he found his mate and presented the rabbit or the scrub hare to the female. That could be the case here, but it has taken rather long for him to find the mate. I do not know whether they have a way of calling. We've seen lions, once they make a kill, lions will always roar or call each other and they come join the party. Not sure whether the ground hornbills can be able to do the same and call the mate and come and join the food. I do not know, but that is a very big possibility. All right, hopefully he's going to get the mates and they're going to enjoy the snake. I do not know how they're going to eat the snake, who will get the head part, who will get the tail, or he'll going to offer it to the partner, and whatever the partner will leave behind is what he is going to eat. But I think if that's the case, he is a very good male. Okay, time to move on. Find out who else could be out here this morning. A misty morning, very cloudy morning. I'm just driving very close to the Mara River, and being cold like this, I would expect the hippos, maybe one or two outside the water, or maybe a croc. We'll have a quick look. Sorry, I lost a question from Carol. There we are. Actually, let's have a look at the river. Carol, you want to know whether the venom will affect the hornbill. I do not think so. If the hornbill is going to swallow it whole, it should be fine. We have seen, or we have always believed in Africa, where we come from, when we eat snakes, because I think you can eat a snake so long as you don't get the venom. If you eat the whole body, that's fine. Not sure what other parts of the world people eat snakes, maybe in China or I don't know where, but so long as you do not actually get the venom itself, you should be fine. So, and I think the hornbill knows that very well. The whole idea is just make sure you avoid the venom. All right, I want us to have a quick at the Mara River, because I think the water levels might have gone a little bit high than the last 2 days because of the rains we've been having. What do you think, Archie? If you'd come here a few days ago, the levels were very low, and you could literally, even a small kid, walk across the river. This is the Mara River. Could be about 250 miles long, and it originates in some escarpment in Kenya called the Mau Escarpment, and it goes through the Mara Triangle Game Reserve, and it goes all the way to Serengeti National Park in Tanzania, then back to the Mara, and it drains in Lake Victoria. Lake Victoria being the largest freshwater lake, second largest freshwater lake in the world after Superior. And then the Lake Victoria is the source of the Nile River. And it's time to move. I don't know where the lions are. Jamie, are you any luck with lions, Jamie?
No, I've had no luck with the lions. I've had no luck with anything. I really don't know where they went. I'm hoping that when the weather clears up ever so slightly, they might come out to dry themselves, if they're still around. Unfortunately, we've been really restricted with where we can go. I hope you all missed this view of quarantine, because this is now at least our third time around. I'm not sure how many times Jackie and Trishala have driven around it. So, you know, beautiful. Quarantine clearings, named of course after the fact that the cattle and wildebeest used to be quarantined here. Marvelous news. You don't have to finish off the sunrise safari with me. Trishala, well done. She found an elephant.
Thank you. I'm very happy to have found an elephant. I think it's wonderful. Very wet elephant. This is not a different species. This is not a black elephant. It is just a very, very wet elephant. Missing a tusk. Now, I'm quite excited because it's been so long since we've seen some Ellies, and we were actually just hoping in the last couple of days and thinking, where have they gone? And even though we only see these two, still wonderful. I'm really excited. Always like to see the Ellies. Hey, boy. Look at those wonderful ears. It's a bit cooler today, so they're not splayed out as they usually are. Now this is interesting. Got one tusk. Now that may often happen. I find an elephant have one right hand, left hand. Maybe he was just in a bit of a fight. But you can see the mud falling off him. Wonderful. I'm so excited to see him. Hey, boy. Isn't that marvelous? Just absorb that beauty, and look at the green against that. He's obviously been to one of the pans to wallow. Now he's out looking for a snack. And I think after that, a good nap is what he needs. In fact, that's what I think I'm going to do. I think it's time for breakfast, and then after that, definitely a very, very good nap. Now, guys, I know it's been a bit of a harsh drive, but thank you so much for your questions and comments, and we will see you later on this afternoon. Thank you, and bye-bye.